Hello, and welcome to After Work English. I'm Sophie.
And I'm Jake. Come in, sit down, breathe out, and stay with us for a little while.
Today we're talking about dreams, goals, and the small actions we take every day.
A very calm topic, and also a dangerous one.
Dangerous?
Yes, because the word dream can make people feel excited for 5 seconds, and then suddenly guilty for the next 20 minutes.
That is very true. Sometimes a dream feels bright and beautiful, and 1 minute later it feels heavy, like a bag you forgot to put down.
Or like a gym membership card hiding in your wallet.
Exactly. So today, we want to make this topic softer, clearer, and more useful.
Not big pressure. Not a speech about waking up at 5 in the morning. Not a perfect life plan with 12 color-coded boxes.
No, just real life, busy life, tired life, normal life. And in that real life, how dreams can still live.
If you've ever thought, I want something more, but also thought, I am too busy, too late, too messy, too uncertain, this episode is for you.
We'll talk about the difference between a dream and a goal, why small daily actions matter, and how to keep going without turning your life into a hard, cold project.
We'll also explain some useful English words along the way, because this is still your cozy English learning corner.
This episode is around B1 to B2 level, so if a few phrases feel new, stay with the main idea first. You can always come back and listen again later. And before we go deeper, if this topic stays with you, you can leave a comment or a short reflection after the episode.
You can answer a simple question. What is one dream you still care about, even quietly?
Even if it feels far away, even if you have not spoken about it for years.
Especially then.
And if writing the whole dream feels too big, just write one small action you want to take this week.
We would love to hear it. Sometimes naming a dream gently is already a step.
So let's begin with something simple. Jake, when you hear the word dream, what do you imagine?
I picture two things at the same time. First, a lovely scene, maybe someone opening a small cafe writing a book, speaking English with confidence, changing jobs, moving to a new city.
Mm. Mm.
And second, I imagine a person standing in the kitchen at 9:40 p.m. holding a sponge, washing dishes and thinking, yes, but when?
That image is perfect, because dreams often live next to very ordinary things. Dirty dishes, unread emails, school runs, long commutes, grocery lists.
That's why I think many people are not lazy, they're overloaded.
Good word. Overloaded means you already carry too much. Your mind, your schedule, your energy, everything feels full.
Right, and when you are overloaded, even a beautiful dream can feel like one more task.
So the first idea today is this. A dream does not need to become a heavy task in order to be real.
I love that.
A dream can begin as a direction, not a strict map. Just a direction.
Like north on a compass.
Yes, a compass shows direction. It does not tell you to run.
That is such an important difference. A dream can point you somewhere. A goal can give that dream a shape. And a small daily action can help you move, little by little, in that direction.
Let's slow that down. A dream is usually wide and emotional. I want a life with more creativity. I want to feel proud of my work. I want to speak English more freely. I want to trust myself.
A goal is more specific. I want to finish 3 pages of writing each week. I want to apply for 2 new jobs this month. I want to speak English for 10 minutes a day.
And then comes the smallest part, but maybe the most powerful part, daily action.
The tiny step.
Tiny means very small. Sometimes people hear small and think unimportant, but small is not unimportant.
A key is small. A seed is small. A text message can be small and still change your whole day.
Exactly. Small actions matter because they fit into real life.
And because they teach your mind something very important, I am a person who shows up.
Show up is a lovely phrase. It means you come, you begin, you do your part even if it's not perfect.
You don't disappear from your own life.
That line is worth repeating. Small actions help you not disappear from your own life.
Let's stay there for a moment, because I think many listeners know this feeling. You care about something deeply, but weeks pass, then months pass, and you do nothing with it.
And then you start to tell yourself a story.
The bad kind of story.
Yes, maybe I never really wanted it. Maybe I am not disciplined. Maybe other people can do it, but not me.
But sometimes the truth is much simpler. You did not need a better personality. You needed a smaller first step.
There it is.
I want to give a real-life scene. Let's imagine Mina. She works full-time. She comes home tired. She wants to improve her English because she hopes to change jobs next year.
That dream matters to her.
Very much. But every night she tells herself, tomorrow I will study for 1 full hour.
And tomorrow comes.
And tomorrow is rude.
Tomorrow often arrives with traffic, meetings, messages, and maybe a headache.
So Mina studies for 0 minutes because 1 hour felt impossible.
Then she feels disappointed, and disappointment slowly becomes avoidance.
Avoidance means you stay away from something because it feels uncomfortable.
So what could change for Mina? Not the dream. The size of the action.
Exactly. Maybe her new action is this. During breakfast, she listens to one short English audio. Or on the train, she reads one paragraph and says 2 sentences out loud.
Or before bed. Instead of 1 full hour, she writes 3 lines in English about her day.
3 lines sounds almost too small.
That is often a good sign.
Yes, because if the step is slightly boring, slightly easy, slightly humble, it is probably realistic.
Realistic is a useful word. It means something fits real conditions, not imaginary perfect conditions.
Not the best version of me with endless energy.
But the actual me on a Wednesday.
The actual Wednesday version of me is often holding tea and negotiating with tiredness.
Same.
And this is where consistency matters. Consistency means doing something regularly, again and again, even in a small way.
Not dramatically, not perfectly, just regularly.
People often want intensity,
Big energy, big plans, big promises.
but in ordinary life, consistency usually beats intensity.
Let's explain beat here. In this sentence, beat means do better than.
A huge effort once a month may feel exciting, but 5 quiet minutes most days can change more.
Because it builds trust.
Self-trust, especially.
Self-trust means you believe your own word. You say, I'll do this small thing, and then slowly you become someone who does it.
That changes the relationship you have with yourself.
It really does. And I think that matters beyond any dream, because when people lose self-trust, everything feels harder.
Let's talk about another common problem. Some listeners may say, but Sophie, Jake, my dream is not small. It is big and complicated. I want to change careers. I want to move countries. I want to start a business. I want to write a novel. What can one tiny action do?
A fair question.
I ask fair questions. It is one of my many gifts.
One tiny action cannot do everything,
Thank you for the honesty.
but it can do something essential. It can keep the path open.
Ah,
Think of a garden path. If nobody walks there for a long time, plants grow over it. The way becomes hard to see.
but if you walk on it often, even lightly, the path stays visible.
That is what daily action does for a dream. It keeps the path visible in your life.
I love that image. You do not need to build the whole road today. You just need to keep the path from disappearing.
Let's bring in another small story. Imagine Daniel. He always says he wants to write a children's book.
I already like Daniel.
Me too. He has funny ideas, warm ideas, kind ideas. But he never writes because he thinks real writing needs a long, quiet morning, a clean desk, and some magical, perfect mood.
Dangerous fantasy.
Very dangerous. So months pass, then years.
Ouch.
One day, he changes one thing. He opens a note on his phone and writes for 7 minutes during lunch break.
7 minutes?
7. Not because 7 is magical, just because 7 can happen.
That is a great sentence. 7 can happen.
He writes little character ideas: a fox who is afraid of thunder, a child who collects lost buttons, a grandfather who talks to pigeons.
I would read all of these.
Nothing is finished, nothing is polished. But something important happens. Daniel stops being a person who only says, I want to write.
He becomes a person who writes.
Yes, even in a small way, even among emails and sandwich crumbs.
That identity shift matters so much.
It does. Identity is how you see yourself, and repeated small actions slowly shape identity.
Which sounds powerful, but also gentle.
Gentle is the key. We do not need to attack our lives. We need to participate in them.
I want that on a wall.
Please paint it when you have 7 free minutes.
It will be a very small wall.
Here's another thing people struggle with: all or nothing thinking.
Oh, that old troublemaker.
All or nothing thinking says, if I cannot do it fully, I should not do it at all.
If I cannot study for an hour, why study for 10 minutes? If I cannot go to the gym, why stretch for 5? If I cannot write 3 pages, why write 3 sentences?
But life is not all or nothing. Life is mostly something.
That is such a relief.
Something counts, something grows, something teaches your brain that the door is still open.
I think many adults need permission to do partial progress.
Yes, partial progress is still progress.
Let me give a very ordinary example. A friend of mine wanted to become healthier, but she had 2 children, a full job, and very little free time.
So the internet probably told her to transform her entire life by Monday.
Naturally.
Naturally.
Instead, she made one tiny promise to herself. Every afternoon, before she checked social media, she would walk outside for 8 minutes.
Not 80. 8.
Yes, and sometimes those 8 minutes became 12. Sometimes they stayed 8. Sometimes she walked very slowly.
But the point was not to win a fitness competition.
The point was to become someone who made room for her own well-being.
Make room is a useful phrase. It means create space for something in your life.
Over time, those 8 minutes changed other things. She slept better. She felt calmer. She started choosing better food, not perfectly, just a little more often.
That is another truth about small actions. They create momentum.
Momentum means movement that becomes easier to continue because it has already started.
Like pushing a bicycle. The first push takes effort. After that, movement can help movement.
Small action is often the first push.
And the first push matters more than people think.
Let's connect this to English learning again, because many listeners are building a dream in another language.
Yes, maybe your dream is not only I want better English. Maybe it is I want to travel without fear. I want to study abroad. I want to understand films. I want to speak in meetings. I want to feel less small in the world.
Language dreams are emotional, very emotional.
And because they are emotional, people can become very hard on themselves.
They compare, they rush. They think progress should be obvious every week.
But language grows like a plant, not like fireworks.
Fireworks are loud, fast, dramatic.
A plant is quieter. You water it, you return, you wait. You trust what you cannot always see.
That metaphor is beautiful, and it fits. If you shout at a plant, it still needs water.
Exactly. So, for English learners, a daily action might be listening to one short clip, shadowing 2 sentences, keeping a tiny notebook, or speaking to yourself while making tea.
I do this sometimes. I say, now I am cutting the onion. I am not enjoying it. The onion is winning.
That is useful language, and a sad kitchen moment.
But it works. Ordinary life is full of practice.
That point is so important. Daily action does not always need a perfect study session. It can live inside your real routine.
Inside breakfast, commuting, walking, washing dishes, waiting for a file to load.
Tiny pockets of time.
Pocket is a nice image here. A pocket is a small space that can still carry something important.
Let's tell one more story. This one is about a woman named Sarah. For years, she said, one day I want to start a small online shop for handmade things.
I know this feeling. The dream stays on the high shelf.
Yes, beautiful but far away. Sarah thought she needed a whole free weekend to begin,
Which she never had.
so she stayed stuck. Then one evening, after dinner, she spent 10 minutes taking photos of one item. The next day, she wrote a simple description. 2 days later, she asked a friend, would you buy something like this?
Tiny steps, but they are real.
Real and visible. A week later, she had not built a business, but she had started.
Started is a very powerful word.
It is. Starting changes the whole feeling around it.
Oh, say more.
Before you start, the dream often lives in fear, pressure, and imagination. After you start, even in a small way, the dream enters reality. Reality may still be hard, but it is less foggy.
Foggy means unclear, hard to see.
Yes, small action cuts through fog.
That makes me think of another phrase, reduce friction.
Nice one. Friction is the small difficulty that makes starting harder. For example, if your notebook is hidden in a drawer under many old receipts, that is friction.
If your English app needs 6 passwords and a miracle, that is friction.
So, one practical idea is to make the small action easy to begin. Put the book on the table, save the audio playlist, open the document, prepare the shoes near the door.
Make the first move simple.
Yes, because often the hardest part is not the action itself, it is beginning.
And when life is busy, simplicity is kindness.
I want to say something for listeners who feel behind. Maybe you had a dream once. Maybe you were consistent for a while. Then life changed. You got tired, hurt, busy, or discouraged. And now the dream feels far away.
This part matters.
You are not failing just because your rhythm broke.
Please hear that.
You are allowed to begin again quietly. You do not need a dramatic restart. You do not need to punish yourself. You just need the next honest step.
Begin again quietly. That feels very kind.
Because shame is not a good teacher.
Shame usually makes people hide.
Yes, but calm honesty helps people return.
So if you stopped, the question is not, how do I become perfect tomorrow? The question is, what is a small, believable action I can do next?
Believable is important. Your plan should feel trustworthy to you.
Not impressive to strangers.
Exactly, not built for applause, built for your real life.
Let's do a little recap here because we've covered a lot.
Yes, if you have a dream, first remember, a dream is a direction, not a daily punishment.
A goal gives the dream shape.
And a small action gives it a place in your real day.
If the step feels tiny, that may be good.
Small does not mean silly.
Consistency matters more than dramatic effort.
Something is better than nothing.
Partial progress still counts.
And if you stopped, you can return gently.
There is no prize for being mean to yourself.
None at all.
I also want to say this to the listener who feels embarrassed by their dream. Maybe it feels too old, too soft, too unrealistic, or too private.
You do not need to be ashamed of wanting a meaningful life.
Even if the dream is simple.
Especially if the dream is simple. Sometimes the most important dreams are not very dramatic. More peace, better health, a calmer home, braver English, more creativity, enough savings, more honest work, more time with people you love.
Those are beautiful dreams.
And they often grow through ordinary actions repeated with care.
I think that is the heart of today's episode. Big meaning, small moves.
Big meaning, small moves. Yes.
Before we close, let's do a vocabulary review from today. We chose some useful words and phrases from this episode.
We'll keep the meaning simple, and we'll give an example for each one.
Number 1, dream.
A dream is something you deeply want for your future. Example, my dream is to speak English confidently at work.
Number 2, goal.
A goal is a clear target you want to reach. It is usually more specific than a dream. Example, my goal is to practice speaking for 10 minutes every day.
Number 3, tiny step.
A tiny step is a very small action that is easy to begin. Example, my tiny step tonight is to read one page before bed.
Number 4, consistency.
Consistency means doing something regularly over time. Example, her English improved because of consistency, not because of one perfect weekend.
Number 5, overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed means you feel there is too much and you cannot manage it easily. Example, I felt overwhelmed, so I made my plan smaller.
Number 6, realistic.
Realistic means something fits real life and real conditions. Example, 15 minutes is a realistic study plan for me on weekdays.
Number 7. Self-trust.
Self trust means believing your own word and feeling you can rely on yourself. Example: each small habit helped her build self trust.
Number 8. Momentum.
Momentum is movement that helps you keep moving. Example: after 1 week of small actions, he felt momentum.
Number 9. All or nothing thinking.
This means you think only perfect success counts and anything smaller feels useless. Example: all or nothing thinking stopped me from practicing because I thought 10 minutes was not enough.
Number 10. Make room.
Make room means create space for something in your life. Example: I want to make room for my dream, even if only for a few minutes a day.
Those are excellent phrases, and they are useful far beyond today's topic.
Very much so. And if you want, you can pause later and say those examples out loud.
Or make your own example sentences. That is a great way to remember vocabulary.
Now let's leave you with a tiny piece of homework.
Very tiny. We respect your evening.
Here it is. Write down one dream, one goal connected to that dream, and one small action you can do in the next 24 hours.
Not next month. Not when life becomes perfect. In the next 24 hours.
And make that action almost too easy.
If your dream is better English, your small action might be, I will listen to one short English clip while I make breakfast.
If your dream is to write more, your small action might be, I will write 4 sentences on my phone after lunch.
If your dream is better health, your small action might be, I will walk for 8 minutes before dinner.
If your dream is a new job, your small action might be, I will update the first 3 lines of my resume.
Small, clear, believable.
And if you want to share, you can leave us a comment with this sentence. My small action is,
We would really love to read those.
and maybe, as you move through your week, remember this. You do not need to prove your dream with a perfect life.
You only need to stay connected to it.
That is beautiful.
Thank you. I borrowed it from the wiser version of myself.
We are both glad he visited.
Very briefly.
Thank you for spending this quiet time with us today.
We hope this episode gave you not pressure, but steadiness.
Not noise, but direction.
Not guilt, but one honest next step.
This has been After Work English.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Sophie.
Take care of your dream.
And take care of yourself.
See you next time.
Goodbye.